camera etiquette? Are you want us to face camera? Do you want us to be talking
either
to each
way.
other?
You can do whatever you want to do.
Well, either way, because I mean,
we don't have.
there will be moments where I'm going to look at you, or other things. I do appreciate your professionalism in this. Sir.
I'm just going to stare longingly across the table.
You know how long it's taken me to get him to fucking understand this stuff?
I've done this, a few times.
16 episodes, haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, no. I have to constantly remind him, hey, dude, camera.
It's there.
Oh, my God.
Like
16 episodes.
16 episodes.
And we're still going.
And we're
Is
still
this
going.
the 16th or this is the 17th?
This will be the 16th episode.
This is the 16th episode.
Nice.
I know it's fantastic.
Sweet 16.
We
I know, right?
So yeah, I don't know if you guys actually follow us, which is really weird since you're on
I
our
will.
show and you don't follow us now. Ooh. But anyway,
Yeah.
So what we
Yeah,
do is
so anyway.
we pre-record episodes. We shoot 4 at a time when we do this. We'll do 4 episodes, and then we save one for the month. So this is going to carry us all the way through February into March, getting ready for the auditions.
Nice.
But we have one live show where we just get up and we have the mics going, the cameras are going, and we've got YouTube up where we're interacting with people. The last one was really good.
Hell yeah.
We had 5 whole people.
Yeah.
Lucinda was there. The headsman was on there. Our friend from Minnesota. We actually have a fan from Minnesota that, it's
I know,
it's
right?
wild.
Who would have thought?
She's a veteran cast member out there at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival, which we've been invited to, and they will give us tickets.
Oh, that's
yeah.
super cool.
We have to get there. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Keith and I have big boy jobs.
Get out in Minnesota. Yeah. What time of the year is it also? Because Minnesota.
It's actually after us.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's right after us. So
Okay. So it hasn't become the dead of dark, cold winter yet.
no, which
Beginning of the fair is like, what we have, and then at the end of the fair is like, oh my God,
which
winter is coming.
we're trying not to be the Starks.
The White Walkers are
Yeah,
coming in,
yeah.
it's not good.
No red wedding.
No.
No. But I'm also actually, because I found out.
Speaking of weddings,
our dear friend. Oh yes. Oh my God, our dear friend Prince Otto is going down to Arizona.
Of course he is.
But
I
well,
know. Shocking.
and I'm actually headed down there at the end of March, so I'm going to catch one of the last 2 weekends, which their theme on the second to last weekend is Viking invasion.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
And then their last one is just their final huzzah.
Nice.
But I'm going to go down there and see if I can cause some havoc by myself.
I got a big boy job.
By myself.
That's what PTO's for.
Yeah.
Tell him.
Okay.
Tell him again.
I see.
You don't have floating holidays?
I
What the
see
heck?
where you're going with that.
I mean, well, I
don't have any of that.
Wow. Sounds like a skill issue to me.
Pretty much.
a lot of it, honestly, is his ability to break away from work.
Yeah.
But if I can swing it, I told him, I was like, dude, you're gonna drive down with me. If I have to come up there and kidnap you at 4:00 in the morning, you better have your gear packed, because if it's not, then we're gonna get a chainmail mankini made for you, and that's what you're gonna wear.
Covering all the most important bits.
Yes.
Yeah.
It shall cover all my bits.
It's about the size of a quarter is what we need for that.
Pretty much.
But anyway,
Here we go.
here we
Gotta get
go.
waxed so the hair doesn't get stuck. Anyway.
we're on episode 16.
We are.
We are joined by our friends.
We have friends.
Yes, occasionally.
Sometimes.
Oh my God, I'm their friend.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. These are actually these are our improv our improv coaches for Colorado Renaissance Festival.
yes. 2024.
To my right,
Starting January or June 15th.
June 15th.
Oh God, I hope it doesn't start in January.
I know, right? Oh, we missed it.
Next week.
No, that's how we all know that we got fired.
What are we doing here? Right? You
but-
didn't get the memo. Fuck.
So
Sorry.
to my right, I have the Lord Sheriff with me, also known as.
Yes, my character's name is Richard Nodfellow.
And would you care to provide your real name, or?
And my name is Mauro Palmer and Segura.
I'm not going to try to say that. That's a mouthful. I just call him Mauro. And then Keith has.
And then to my left, I have the wonderful, fantastic Jack Bean.
Hello, I'm the apothecary Jack Bean at CRF Renaissance Festival, and during the rest of the year, my name is Jason Tonus. Good to meet you all.
Yay!
I'm glad you said that because I keep on calling it tennis.
Yeah, everyone.
I had no idea how to pronounce your last name.
Everyone in high school, they called me tennis. They called me toenails. They called me twinkle toes, tennis balls.
That's why we get along so well, is because we have last names that no one can pronounce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's 4 letters, and they still say it wrong.
Mauro and Bean. That's what we have.
You have an imaginary friend there, Jack.
Yep.
Yes, I'm not
s-
here anymore.
I'm so white that I have absorbed. I have reflected all of the light back.
Sit back just a little, and you won't be that. Look, watch. Look, it's amazing. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there
I was
you go.
too anxious for this.
So today we're joined by these wonderful people to talk to us about improv, because it's not really what it is, what everybody thinks, right? Is that the general consensus?
It is and it isn't, and that's going to be the general vibe of a lot of the stuff that's going to come out of my mouth. Is it is and it isn't.
Very cryptic, sir.
I know.
Yeah.
But can I say that at least improv is fun?
Oh yeah, it is definitely fun.
Okay.
Unless it isn't, but it is fun.
This guy. I knew this was a bad idea.
Why did you invite them?
But, even talking off of that, a lot of people think improv, and they think, like, whose line is it anyway? Or, like, Game Changer, or, like, different shows like that, which, yes, it is improv. But really, improv doesn't always have to be funny. Improv can be a mixture of comedy. It can be a mixture of drama. Basically, because let's just go to, like, the actual definition of improv. Basically, improv is just actors, musicians, performing without any preparation or actual materials to go off of, like a script.
That's us. That's us.
Oh my God.
So
It's
really,
nuts.
and that's a pretty general definition, but then when you go into the fine tuning and go into the actual details of improv, it is very broad, but then you can kind of break it down into different types of improv.
Oh.
Improv is life. You don't have a script when you're walking around day to day. Everything you're saying, what I'm saying right now is just coming off the top of my head. What you say and what you do is all improvised. It is problem solving on stage.
Ooh.
I like that.
There's a reason why the scripts of long lines and of the flowery language of Shakespearean times are called plays, because to improvise, to live, is to play.
I just learned something. We're done.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's going to be our shortest episode ever.
Yeah.
No, so this is some really great information. But like, how long have you guys been doing improv?
The first time I was ever on an improv team is when I was in high school, and nobody liked me, so I said I should try doing improv. And
They still didn't like you.
it only helped a little bit. But it did. But hey, there's a reason that there's a stereotype of the sad improv kid. Stereotypes are found in truth. But I've since then I started to develop a love of theater and of acting, and I've been doing improv close to just this year is going to be 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 10 years of theater and acting as well as improv.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Mauro?
Pretty similar. I really got into theater when I was in 7th grade. I did my first play ever, the Scottish play that will not be named. I got to play as Banquo, and ever since then, that's really when I got my love for it. So every year after that, I basically done plays at school. And my first actual introduction to improv was during high school, my sophomore year, when I took a theater class and we did a lot of improv games and kind of learned about the different types of theater, things like that. And so really for me, now that's been about 15 years since I've actually started doing theater and then really getting into improv, because for the most part I've been a theater actor. I've done a little bit of film stuff, a little bit of voice acting, but for the Colorado Renaissance Fair, I've been doing it for about 3 years. I think Jason and I have actually started at the same time, so this will be our 4th year of actually going to the Colorado Renaissance Fair. And for me, I haven't really necessarily done professional improv groups, things like that. I've just kind of done little small stuff like the Colorado Renaissance Fair and little small improv like
Santa
skits.
Fe. Don't forget Santa Fe.
Sure,
too.
Santa Fe as well.
Yeah. And then this year you guys are taking over as the coaches for improv.
We it really was kind of like a so for all
Hey, there you go. I wished you back into existence.
It's more important if you don't disappear.
Yeah, okay. Abracadabra. Last year we started this experimental thing in the off season called the experimental improv team.
Okay.
We were picked by our cast director Eric at CRF, and it was really just kind of like we would meet every other week in the off season to just kind of screw around in our other castmate Prescott's house, and then learn and do some improv and introduce some more traditional stage improv type games, and to try and get better because. And Prescott had told me would say this probably as well. He had been tasked to bring on and help do improv stuff for rehearsals for the fair, to help everyone, new people who had come to the fair, to help and get like into the vibe of everything. But he admitted, like, yeah, I only had like a pretty like base level of it, and I came in and he helped. And honestly, the rehearsal and the stuff that we've been doing was not a nothing. It was really good for.
I will agree with that wholeheartedly. Because I'm a product of that. The when I was there, because I did miss quite a bit of the rehearsals last year, but the pieces where I got I got to participate, I found a lot of value in, and I think the biggest piece that I took away was, don't be afraid to get involved, because that was the big thing. Is like, I mean, I'm a stranger in a strange land. I know nobody. I've seen some of you guys from previous years where it was like, oh God, and they're bigger than life. Like oh my God, like fanboyed a little bit with Adam Bell, because it's like, oh my God, I know you.
He's everyone's hero.
Oh my God.
we actually went and watched his stuff. So and. I felt bad because I had no idea who His Majesty was, and he was at my audition, and I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I felt bad about that. I knew who the Queen was. I knew who the Duke was. I also knew who the Princess of Ireland was. But that's because they were part of me coming onto the cast.
Oh yeah.
But the exercises that you guys do that you put on really helped me kind of understand, like, this is the tone of what we're going for.
Yeah. Oh, and like last year, what you experienced last year was an even more upgraded version of what we had when Mauro and I started. Oh, because the original improv kind of Keith can say the original stuff that was being taught there was of a very, very specific kind to a fair situation.
Okay,
but that fair situation, unless this year could be different, and of course it could, has not been replicated since COVID, actually. It used to be that fair was a lot more open on the streets and stuff, a lot more space.
Yes.
There was a lot more of a heavy influence on picking people out of a crowd and bringing them in and doing like a small, intimate thing one-on-one. And then once COVID happened, and then D&D and all those nerds got crazy and popular. And
did you do this on purpose? I know he plays D&D and I play D&D. Those he doesn't.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Well,
but they're still nerds.
Yeah.
And how dare you besmirch the value of D&D?
We're reclaiming that word, nerd.
We're taking it back.
That's fair. I was a nerd before I played D&D.
Yeah. But
this is sad to say. I've been playing D&D longer than you've been alive. But anyway.
Hey, listen. Anyway, because it was such more of a like thing of like, this is a specific art form we do, and it was like the playing on the streets wasn't even like improv. It was more like, I have 3 or 4 bits, and those are the things I recycle and throw at everyone.
Yeah.
And then the day is over.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, because going back to the definition, if performing without preparation, with a lot of our targeting or even audiencing skills that we use out on the field, we make those, we kind of script it out slightly, and then we bring in patrons to kind of play along with it, and then they kind of do a little bit of improv because they have no idea what's going on. We just rope them into it. But a lot of the times we're kind of directing them and kind of giving them material to go off of.
Right.
So
setting the scene and then allowing them to react to it.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But compared to other stuff with more like improv for improv for the stage, and even stuff that happens on like Whose Line Is It Anyway, or if anyone goes out and sees Second City performances, anyone who's on the East or West Coast for UCB, or the Improvised Shakespeare Company, which is here in Denver. I'm not sure if they'll still be in Denver when this airs, but
Are they moving?
no, they tour.
Travel.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
And that kind of improv is things that I and Mauro definitely are more used to outside of the fair, and wanted to try to bring into and teach people in the fair some more tips and tricks about it.
Well, I honestly think that, as somebody that last year was my first year, but I've been going to the CRF for a while, there is definitely more interaction from the cast to the customer, which gives a more rich environment. Keith and I are very wont to say that, you don't go to Disneyland and expect to have a private performance.
Correct.
But at what we do, it is 100%. We're trying to make somebody feel something.
Oh yeah.
And that's I always say if you can feel whatever emotion I'm trying to convey to you, I've done my job. It may be laughter. It may be a tear.
I have allergies.
He was there. He witnessed it. Was he crying or was it allergies?
No, it was mostly just.
Thank you for that very.
We couldn't really tell because when we asked him afterwards, it was
Way
really hard
to
to
cover
get the words
that
out.
one up.
Yes.
We're referring to, of course, the infamous singing to Princess Erin, where I were you there for that? Did you
No,
see?
I
Did
wasn't
you
there.
heard
No,
about it,
I
though,
heard,
right?
yeah.
No, that was one of my crowning achievements for last year, and I was proud of that moment. Made 5 people cry, including my partner.
So good.
Allergies.
Yep, whatever.
Totally,
I got him
yeah.
twice.
Yeah, there was
one
the
year.
wind came up and this dust got into my
The sun,
eye.
the sun was in his
Colorado's very dry in
Yeah.
the summer.
Thank you. It was. Yeah.
I hate both of you.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. That's what makes theater, acting, like what we do in art, because really art is really just something there, a medium that helps people really feel something.
Yes.
Whether it is like anger or sadness or happiness, all those things, so like that's what's considered art. So really out in the fair, we are creating like live visual arts that's interactive for all of our patrons.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So coming from a theater background, what do you find more difficult? Preparing for a stage play or preparing for an improv performance?
Well, I can answer that one.
I know, thought provoking. Who would have thought on this show?
This is actually a really hard one. I haven't fully thought about this before. Do you? I can go if you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, really, honestly, it is improv. Just because from having a big background from theater and having much more training on theater than improv, that's just a little bit more comfortable for me. And like before, we have a script, we have a general idea of how it needs to go. Sure, with a lot of the characterizations or a lot of the movement in the show, it can be kind of difficult at times. Or if something goes wrong and someone forgets a line, or things kind of go awry, you kind of just on the spot have to kind of problem solve or take on, and it's essentially improv to get it back on track. But for me, yeah, really, it's easier for theater, and improv's a little bit more of a struggle. But honestly, from being trained in both, it's not like I prefer theater or I think theater's way easier. I kind of just learned how to handle and how to problem solve in both mediums.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I think I agree. But I think the reason why I agree, I think, is slightly different. But obviously, of course, but it's mostly because from doing stage shows and having a script and doing rehearsals, it very much becomes like this is what you're doing. And in rehearsals and doing theater and doing art and stuff, there is a certain level of it where you have to be in like a certain headspace to fully absorb and to get really into it. But a good part about like a rehearsed stage play or musical or something where everything's going to try, at least even if everything isn't exactly the same, because as one of my theater professors liked to say when I was in college, if every single performance of your play is the exact same, you failed a little bit. But at least there is like a massive like infrastructural like scaffold that you can like rely upon.
You got a roadmap, yeah.
Oh yeah, and so like I've had times where I've been in a show or I've been in a thing where I'm like, God, I feel like shit today, but I have my call is in an hour, so I just kind of like get myself like comfortable and safe, and then I go to my call and I'm like, okay, I'm here. and it's like putting on a set of clothes.
Yeah.
Right.
I spent, and that's what I was doing in rehearsal. I spent all that time assembling this other pair of skin to slip into, like a snake putting back on my shed skin.
Puts the lotion on its skin.
Well, this took a dark turn.
Give me back my dog. Anyway, and that was just random. Anyway, but
okay.
yeah,
That's what we do.
yeah, this is why improv. Anyway, but improv is so much. To me, it's more volatile, but it can also be more rewarding in some instances. Where there have been improv shows where I've gone into, and I've gone up to it, and I've started doing the like warm ups and stuff, and I've just not been like feeling it, and then that leaks into the whole show because not feeling it in that way, there isn't like the same level of set like dependence you can rely upon. But then also at the same time, where if you go into an improv play and a show and you're like, really, this is my fucking jam, I got it today, there is almost more you can milk out of it than like a stage play. Because if you go into a stage play feeling great, you feel great, that's going to be a good performance, and that is that good performance. But it feels like there's a higher ceiling and for the trade-off of a lower floor.
I see what you're saying. But I mean, I would agree because I've done some stage acting myself. Now, it's been years since I was on stage. Did some Shakespearean stuff when I was in high school. And I would honestly say that, yeah, it's nice when you have the ability to, okay, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. You've got the forecast built in front of you. And yeah, there's a little bit of nuance, like maybe Mauro delivers the line a little bit more punchy. But I know what he's going to say, And improv, I have no clue. I'm going to give this guy a scene and my word, and then he's going to do whatever, and I have to react to that. And to me, that was probably one of the most stressful things going onto the streets of Larkspurshire, because thankfully I had my safety net of Keith, because if I started doing something weird, he'd be like, yo, come here. And he'd rein me back. But like, it's very, very nerve-wracking, especially as a new cast member, because you have no idea what to expect. All you know is, I was here. I was a patron here. I dressed up. I might have played around and did the things that I was supposed to do, but you don't have the same gravitas that you have as a cast member. It's so much more involved. And thankfully, again, you guys are giving your expertise, your combined experience of 25 plus years, that imparting little pieces of knowledge that easily somebody can go with. And I know working with Mauro, I was part of the Adam Bell jailbreak thing at the very end of the day, the Stockade raid, which was cool, but I really appreciated the ability to discuss with you guys afterwards, like, hey, what did you see? Because, dude, I'm a tree. I'm in the background. He goes, where did you come from? I didn't even see you back there. And I was like, hey, I'm a ninja. What do you want?
His stealth score is very high.
Yes.
I'm an actor.
Oh, dude, it's great. I'd pop up and Adam Bell would be like, he'd give me the head nod, and I'd just kind of, okay, I'm here. And then sometimes, because our shift was over at Parapet at 4:30, I got to haul up that stupid hill to get to where these guys are at. And sometimes I'd get caught up with something, and I'm coming in just as they're putting somebody in the stocks. And one of the things that we determined was we need to have somebody back there, because usually it's one of our cast members that's in the stocks, and we want to make sure that they're protected.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So I put myself back there. And I mean, I'm not a very big guy, but that hat commands space, man.
Definitely.
It's like not to degrade your hat, but it's like the big poofy clown pants.
Yeah.
It gives you a ring. Of,
Now I want big poofy clown pants.
Yeah, it gives you like a ring of bounce that if someone knocks in, like, oh.
Oh, yeah, no, I've actually smacked people with that hat by accident. I've turned too quickly and smacked the hell out of a kid, and I was like, oh, God, are you okay? Like, I'm sorry. And Keith was just, did you just hit that kid?
There's a lawsuit.
That just happened. Let's go.
But, you bring up a good point of, because a lot of people that don't really know about improv or aren't trained, they're very intimidated by it, or, they feel like they're just thrown into it and they don't really know what to say or like what to do. But, one thing that we've learned from being trained into it, and what a lot of like groups and companies do, is the secret to actual like improv from those groups is it's not just going in blind and not knowing what's happening. A lot of these people, like, yes, improv is, going in without a script or going in without having, like, prepared, memorized kind of material. But whenever you have a group and you're rehearsing and going with each other, you build this trust. You kind of know how, people are going to turn the scenes. You work on beginning, middles, and ends of, like, how you want to start the improv, how you want to get the action to go, and then the ending of it. So yes, improv is going in without materials and scripts, but a lot of times people kind of know a general idea of what they're going to do, and they kind of do prepare certain scenarios or certain scenes and essentially kind of replicate that. It's just more of the meat of the material, the inside of it that's really changed. That can be, because a lot of groups will ask for suggestions from the audience, which obviously they don't know what's going to be suggested. Or, sometimes an actor of improv might completely change something that we've, practiced before, or try something new. And that's the beauty of improv, is that you're always wanting to continuously build upon new things. And because you might figure out, oh, this worked really well, we should do this next time. But then again, at the same time, you're trying to build up new material, so you have different options and different ways to handle new things that are thrown at you.
Yeah, and one of the things I kind of learned when working with a couple different improv troupes is when the newer people would come in. One of the things we would always say is there are no mistakes in improv. It's just a different thing you have to work through. Because I know it makes it scary for people when they're like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And they say something, and then you can see on their face, they're like, oh, I didn't say the right thing. Well, there really is no right thing to say. Maybe you didn't go where I thought you were going to go. But we'll adjust to it, and we'll improv, and we'll adapt, and we'll keep going a different way.
Right.
So that's always a rule that I tell people. Don't worry, just say something.
Just go with it. Yeah.
I've been doing this long enough. I can react to whatever you do. So it may not be what I thought you were going to go, but here we are.
Yeah. No, it definitely, and that actually kind of, it brings up some things that I've been, so there's a little bit of a history lesson. Here in the United States, the first instances of, like, real improvised theater happened with this woman named Viola Spolin. Now, if there's any theater heads out there, pedagogy nerds, you'll know that she is the creator of Theater Games, the pedagogy, and is the starting point for Second City, Improv Olympic, UCB, and basically brought about, like, the first improvised sheet theater here in the United States. And that original what she was bringing on is this idea that there is no communication on stage that is wrong. There is no bad, there is no good, there is no approval, there is no disapproval. There is simply what happens and what is brought about. And she always she talked about, and this is something I learned about from that, theater and the arts are things that come from spontaneity, things that really have to do a lot more with stuff that has in the moment, and what is true is funny, what is agreed upon is funny, and what is trusted is funny. And there's actually a short snippet here that I want to read that I think kind of brings on to this idea of new people coming on.
Yeah,
is that
please.
At the beginning of her book called Improvisation for the Theater, which, is to some people to the Bible of teaching and learning how to do improv on stage. The first thing it opens in is the first chapter is everyone can act, everyone can improvise. Anyone who wishes to can play in the theater and learn to become stage-worthy. We learn through experience and experiencing, and no one teaches anyone anything. This is as true for the infant moving from kicking to crawling to walking as it is for the scientist with his equations. If the environment permits it, anyone can learn whatever he chooses to. And if the individual permits it, the environment will teach him everything it has to teach. Talent or lack of talent have little to nothing to do with it.
I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just learned something, and now we're philosophical on our show.
I know, dude. This is a groundbreaking episode right here.
Yeah.
Like, we're learning stuff. I don't know.
Right, and even to add on to Jason's point, a lot of people, like I said, have kind of like, pre-prepared materials that they'll bring to improv shows. But that's the thing is, like, it's okay to make mistakes, because with improv a lot of the times there's not, the fourth wall is kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can do improv where the audience isn't a part of it, but a lot of the most successful improvs, they really bring in the audience. And that's the thing too, is when you make up and make a mistake and you call yourself on it, that's even funnier to the audience, because they're like, because when a play kind of happens and you kind of see the shock of horror of someone messing up a line or things like that, sometimes people give it away because of how they react. But in improv shows, whenever you mess up something, and sometimes that's what the audience thinks is funny, because you might try and do your bit or your line and then the audience doesn't laugh, and then even if you make a joke about that, you're like, oh dang, that didn't work for the audience, they didn't even laugh. Sometimes that will get a laugh out of them as well. So really with improv, there are no mistakes. You kind of just, it's being, like you said, be real, be true, because making mistakes as a human is a real thing, and it's very relatable and very true to acting in general, because acting is just real life. It's essentially taking snippets of real life and just performing that for our audience.
So I want to back up real quick, because one of the things that you said, Mauro, is you go into it and you have an idea of it, and Keith and I from minute one have come up. We have our little twist on that, and anything that we do, we have no idea what's going to happen. It starts with a seed. It starts with an idea, and then from there it just kind of morphs into its own, and we lean heavy into it because it's funny. It's funny to us to watch this thing go just bonkers, and then we generally don't have an out. It's just okay, that's it, we're moving on.
I mean, we figure out the out when the out feels right to out.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not like, okay, we've got 46 seconds, we're gonna do this. It's just we keep going until we're like, okay, it's starting to tail off a little bit, let's end it here. All right, we must be away, and off we go.
Yeah. And that's how real conversations end a lot of times too. And again, we first circle back to improv being life.
Yes.
All those conversations where you get to the end of the conversation and all of a sudden you're just like, well, good talking.
Good talk.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Right. And we always have like we talked about like your safe phrases to, like, if you are.
Well, that's a different show.
No, it's the same show.
Not that safe.
No,
phrase.
not that's a different show.
Oh, okay.
Kumquat?
Yeah.
No, it's
told you?
Dude, it's always chimichanga. Where have you been?
Avocados and Moonlight was mine.
I like that.
Wow,
That's
all
a
right.
good one.
So you know how we do our introductions for when we introduce our characters, like our pronouns and something about ourselves?
Yeah.
That I couldn't think of a really interesting thing about myself. So me and Becky, who was an old cast member, we were kind of thinking about it, and she was like, what's your safe word? And I was like, I actually have a safe phrase, because sometimes words just kind of pop out here and there. So avocados and Moonlight is my safe phrase.
You actually stood in front of everybody and said that.
That's how I was introduced
hilarious.
to the Colorado Renaissance cast.
That is hilarious. That is awesome.
And as we can see, it has set the mood for the rest of the time in the Renaissance Faircast.
Definitely.
And now here we are.
And now I work with handcuffs. So what does that tell you about myself?
But we're talking, like the safe out phrases, so that when you're done with a scene, or maybe you did something and you see that your target is not receptive of what you're doing. The safe phrases of, I must be about the king's business, or something like that. Yeah. I think my favorite one is if I'm not with him, I'll go, yes, Lord Robert, and there's nobody behind me. There's no one behind me, and everybody in the audience is like, who's he talking to? And so then I just kind of walk off, and I'm like, okay, that was cool. I don't need to do this by myself anymore. Where's my partner?
Right. Yeah, another one that I really love, that's probably the most hilarious one, is, it's very simple and very real. It's just, something goes bad happen, you say, oh, I gotta poop. And then you walk off and leave. Now, again, we are trained professional actors, so you shouldn't have to don't go out there and copy everything that we do. Please don't try this at home, kids. But
do try this at home, because this is improv, and improv is live.
Oh yeah, it'll get you out of any situation you don't want to be in. I gotta poop.
I'm gonna combine your out with your safe phrase, I gotta go poop my avocados in the moonlight.
Oh, ate
And
too
off
many
I go.
avocados. I gotta poop.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. The moonlight stirs the IBS.
Yes. Is that the moon? Oh,
It pulls on my bowels as it does on the tide.
yeah. I must go. Too many avocados.
Oh,
And that's one thing that speaks to how close we are and how we trust each other. Is like if we throw that out, we instantly know. Oh, we gotta go. We gotta
roll.
no, and as a rookie from this year, it was really interesting because I didn't really know a lot of the cast members. Like, I really only knew a few of the people that invited me to kind of partake in what they were doing, or they were just friendly to me, and I was like, oh, cool, this guy's cool. I got to go talk with this guy. That's how I met Jason. Or you and Adam Bell invited me to come to partake in the jailbreak thing, and I was like, oh, this is neat. I belong here. This is cool. And then there was this idiot that was like, hey, you're with me, newbie. And I'm like, oh, great.
That's pretty much how that went.
I got a babysitter. I'm like, and at first I was like, oh, you stupid babysitter. And then I was like, after a while, I was like, this is actually the smartest thing in the world is to have a veteran escorting a rookie around so that he could see
Follow
what's
me so you
going
don't
on.
die.
Well, early season, I was stepping on him, and that was something that I had to figure out. And I did it once, and he was annoyed, and he just kind of shot me that death glare, and I was like, oh, my bad, I'm gonna go over here. And then he was like, all right, cool. Next time, don't step on my. I'm interacting. That is, you're there, and that's when I devised the whole. I'm his bodyguard, and I'm kind of watching his back. I think you saw it. I don't know if you did or not, but he was talking to this little girl, and the family was just all enamored because it's somebody from the nobility and. Freaking Chinese pirate, dude. Like, what is that guy doing? And so what I did, I turned around, I got my back to him, and I've got my hand on the sword, and I'm scanning the crowd like I'm like a bodyguard. And some of the cast members were like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Like, you look like you belong. Well, why not? It's something to do, and I'm out of his hair, and he gets to do what he needs to do, and then when it's time to go, he'll tap me on the shoulder and go, it's time to go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, because sometimes the presence, just being there, and a lot of people think it's what we say and like the actions that we do, but sometimes just having that presence and staying in character even when you're not talking or in the spotlight is really important to a lot of our bits.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
And
No, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, like, honestly, being tied up, being like assigned or like tied up with a veteran to help you go around there, that also helps a lot with because I before the show you were mentioning, and you were mentioning about stuff how like. We do these improv things, and we don't quite have like the words to put it in to context to let everyone know like, oh, this is how you do it. Here, let me lecture you. Let me give you the theory on it. Because a lot of this improv stuff is truly, and it's not a bad thing that you can't put into words. It is a lot intuitive. When you're going around, even if people don't feel like they are very intuitive or they don't know what to do, there are always times in life where you're going around and you're like, oh, I just did the exact right thing out of nowhere. Oh, I just said the exact right thing. And that's basically what improv is training your intuition above all. And to do that, in normal situations is to take classes and spend time and do games.
Yeah.
But in faire, nothing, I think, for this specific example, nothing beats just being with a veteran to watch it happen.
Observation.
Nothing more. The improv truly is the most learn on the job art, in my opinion.
True. But there is one moment, and I do pride myself because normally I have a rebuttal for everything. Normally. I mean, I'm a salesman, for God's sakes. That's what I do for real life.
Yeah.
Of course. But Keith and I both gobsmacked one instance. Same time. Standing at the front gates waiting to go up to our parapet shift. I'm standing there in all my glory of my robes, got my sword and everything, big frickin' hat. Homeboy comes walking in and goes, oh, look, they got a Confucius.
Yeah, that was...
Hey, Southern Colorado, Southern Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, he was so just very nonchalant about
Dude,
it.
it was a drive-by.
Look, Confucius. He
It
just kept walking.
It was literally a
I'm like-
drive-by, and I was just like...
And I'm looking at Rob, he's looking at me, and I'm like, I don't even... Dude, that's racist. Like, that's all I had. I'm like, I don't know where to go from that.
There was nowhere to go after that.
No.
I just let it roll because there was nothing positive was going to come out of that. And, I mean, that's our job. Our job is to bring a happy experience, a good experience for these people. Which, okay, he got one over on me. Does it really matter? Now, you were talking about you pat yourself on the back because you said the right thing. This is one of those moments where 4 hours later, I should have said that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the scene's over. It's gone. It's done. It's over. You can't do nothing about it. What am I going to do? Hey, Mauro, come by the gate and call me Confucius. Mauro's going to believe me. Why?
Don't let him lie to you. He's asked me to do that.
Yeah.
Only in the bedroom. Only behind scenes. Backstage.
Yes, call me Confucius.
Yes, call me Confucius.
We like role play, if you can't tell.
Yes.
Keith's over there like, I don't know what happened here.
I don't know what's going on.
They have to spice
Somebody
it up.
stop the world. I want to get off.
And so it's funny to me because, from the preconceived notion of like improv is comedy. Like that's what everybody thinks is improv is comedy. But, half the time Keith and I are not trying to be funny. We're just saying things that come to our heads because it's there. And that is 100% what you're saying. Is what we do is it's not eliciting laughter, but it's eliciting some kind of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it's like
I'm trying to set you up. You see this?
Yeah.
what Prescott said was, don't hunt the funny.
Oh yeah.
If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not.
Although I want somebody to come and make a character that is named Funny so that we can go hunt them.
Oh yeah. No. And what Rob said was very intuitive. I'm having to use my plosives now. But another example that has been on the screen for a while, and now we can pull it in, is something called Truth in Comedy. Uh-oh, it disappeared.
No, it's there.
There it is. Truth in Comedy. It's a book by Charna Halpern and Del Close, who founded the Improv Olympic and were Viola Spolin's students, some more pedagogy nerd stuff. There's a pretty early on chapter in that book that is very applicable to this about how what is funny and what isn't funny, and what a joke is and what a laugh is. Now,
I didn't appreciate that.
Sorry, I was in the moment.
here we see a joke and a laugh.
Everyone looks at Mauro.
I'm illustrating.
Hey, listen, Mauro, don't worry. Later on in this podcast, we're gonna get them. We're gonna get them
That's
back.
true. We're the professionals.
We're
here.
gonna get them back.
You are, and I got to take my jabs when I can.
Yeah. See. Now I know where Rob lives, and he doesn't know where I live now.
But I'm making dinner tonight.
Okay, he can live tonight.
You can do whatever you want to me.
Next show, though.
He's had my cooking. He knows.
Oh, yeah. But trying to be funny is often one of the least successful ways of being funny.
So do you have an example of something like that? Because that is something that we heard it during rehearsals, and it's like, okay, what if I have a punchline that is funny, but or a quick quip that is funny to me, but I'm not. Are we talking? Are we hunting the uproarious laughter? Is there a specific example that we can give our audience?
So it's, I think, so the most specific example I can give without pulling something up to read verbatim right now is think back in your life when you were at school or at work or somewhere and someone told a joke and it did not land.
Okay.
Now, jokes can land. Jokes can laugh. They can elicit a laugh. But jokes are something where you're like, I find this funny. Here, please find this funny.
Yeah, generally it stems from trying too hard.
Yeah.
And, really, you notice that in a lot of, skits or a lot of things when people are just constantly berating, throwing out those one-line jokes that are just kind of people think that they have to act a certain way. They're like, oh, I have to be like a clown. I have to do silly stuff or do physical comedy, or, oh, I just constantly throw out these jokes. But that's trying to, and whenever you're trying, the audience recognizes that.
Yes.
They're like, oh, we see
Yeah.
that this guy's trying to just throw out jokes, and especially if they're not landing, because that's a lot of our playing is to the audience. So what might work really well with one audience, a joke might not work with another one. So that's the thing too, is like, you can't always go back to what you've tried before and think it's always going to work with the audience. You always try to recreate a true moment, or a lot of the times comedy really comes naturally just from having a good connection with your fellow players, having that connection with the audience. So whenever you're seeing people just up there just always going for the jokes, it doesn't always work because people know that they see
They're
you
predicting it. Yeah.
It's an attempt to recreate a previously true moment, but in the process of that, you're not being truthful. On top of the example of thinking about jokes that didn't land, think about times when you're with your friends and you're telling a funny story and you start cracking up, they start cracking up, everyone starts passing out laughing. That is you're sharing a laugh. You're not sharing a joke, you're sharing a laugh with them, because it is a two-way street instead of a one-way. You're being honest, and not only are you like, do I think this is funny? It's so funny that it's making me react honestly in this moment. And then that leads back into the idea of, in Saturday Night Live, or Whose Line Is That Anyway, some of the funniest moments are when people break, because it's like you're being let in on the scene and you're sharing a dual connection with people. Truth in comedy is a very apropos name because comedy is truth.
So, I think I told you guys about the Book of Barnabas. The Book of Barnabas is kind of our way of keeping track of thoughts, whether they're song lyrics or phrases and things that we could say. I want to share this because I showed this to Mauro. Real quick statement that is from Sanford Meisner. No idea who the guy is. I just thought this was really cool.
Oh, I
quote.
love Meisner.
Yeah.
Acting is behaving truthfully under imaginary circumstances. And to me, it speaks exactly what we're talking about today. We're talking about trying to be truthful to not just the moment, but also truthful to the character that you've created and bringing that character to life. Because, if I'm like, oh, I'm only going to be 50% on today while I'm walking through the streets, like I'm going to react 50% the way that Captain Yen Sheng would, and the other 50% how Rob would. That's not me doing a job right.
No, so when you mentioned that, I think that's a trap that new cast members, like in their first year, kind of fall into because they haven't fully committed to that character. So they're still, especially if they've been patrons for a while.
Yes.
They're half in cast and half in, well, I used to do this when I was a patron. But yeah, you're not a patron anymore, So they're kind of riding that fence.
Yeah. No.
Oh, yeah.
I get that.
And this that also brings up this idea that another wise sage advice thing that I since I'm just the philosopher of comedy over here is this idea that in improv and also in clowning. So clowning is a real thing. There are clown schools, clown colleges.
He's
often brought
foretelling
on.
for us. This is
Yeah.
foreshadowing.
It's something that people like joke upon. It has a weird connotation now in modern, but actual like real performance of clown is the idea of 100% commitment to being in a fully open, fully positive state. And even though acting as a different character doesn't necessarily entail all of those things, it can be very helpful. So like when you're doing improv and when you're playing as a character, you're not at middle school. It's not cringe to genuinely like something, to be excited about something. It actually is the opposite. When you're doing improv and theater and performance and stuff, the highest, like most intense forms of this bring a kind of energy that the only way to describe it is if in this moment you think anything is embarrassing, you will be destroyed.
Truth.
Yeah.
And to fully drop that level of self-consciousness that you gain if you like, because like I worked with children, I've worked in childcare. The difference between a third grader and a fourth grader.
We work with Mauro.
Man, they're really jumping on you today. Listen, listeners, I don't know. We
He
were
hasn't
invited.
said the save phrase. We're good. Keep
Yeah,
going.
he's all right.
It's true. I like it a little bit.
It's a good thing we're at this table.
Right.
But it's the biggest difference between a third grader and a fourth grader, and sometimes between a fourth grader and a fifth grader, is that over the summer they'll become worse because they will have all of a sudden developed that nature they'll go from kids who are just like ha 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 whatever, I do whatever, I'm like yay, I'm happy all the time, to oh my god, other people exist and they're all looking at me.
No,
it's very true.
100%. I felt that the first time that I was out there on the street before, Keith like kind of pulled me aside and, hey, I'm gonna show you the ropes. I tried to interact with somebody and I was like, oh my god, I'm normally not this nervous, but why am I freaking out? Like, what is going on? And I was like, I went to go deliver a line to these people and I was like, never mind. And
It's very poignant.
It
was awesome.
I freaked out and I was like, nope, this isn't it. Let's go. And Keith was just like, what are you doing? Just commit to it and go. And I'm like, but what if I say is dumb? Well, what you just said was stupid. That's what he told me. And I was like,
achieved that.
Yeah, I'm like you already crossed that bridge.
Okay. Just go with it. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's like that. Yes, that's exactly what we do. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. So I can, within the realms of what I've fashioned for my character, and add that to the scene of Larkspurshire or whatever festival you work at, you add that in, and it's like, okay, this is my construct. This is my playground. Outside of that, whatever you say, with those guidelines, it's not going to be bad.
Right.
Aside from the breaking, and we were talking about breaking the fourth wall. To me, it's like I ignore. Keith actually taught me this. Ignore the cell phone. It does not exist. They're not holding it. They're not talking into it. If you need to refer to it, it's a magic picture. What did you say?
A pixie box.
Magic pixie box or a magic mirror or something. But take it from what it is, and that way you stay immersed. That's helped me out. That's helped me out quite a bit, because it's like, oh, he's on the phone. Like, what the hell is a phone? We're 15th century England, man. What the hell is a phone? I don't know. I'm a Chinese guy. What are you asking me for?
But that's one of the best things, because you'll see the people and they'll be on their phones and they'll doing this. And the great one of my best lines, I walk up and I go, "Will you please stop shaking that? The pixies inside are getting a little dizzy." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Please stop shaking them. They're fragile creatures." And they're and it just opens it up to, okay, now I can pretty much say whatever I want, And so it's a great little line just to break the ice. And they're like, oh, didn't realize I was doing it. Yes, please, could you apologize? And the best one's when you have them apologize to the pixies in their phone. Oh, I'm sorry.
I've not seen that one yet. I want to see that.
Yeah, no, I did that, 2 years ago. And it was great because everybody around was like, they just apologized to their phone. And I'm dead, deadpan.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
I
would you
wouldn't be able
please
to
stop
keep a
shaking
straight
them?
face.
Like
keeping a straight face under those circumstances. Here's a grown man chastising another grown man for shaking his phone.
Yeah.
Although, I do have a story about that. My wife is a technophobe. She might as well be a Luddite. So this is where the term burping the phone comes from, because she would be watching something, and then she'd go to turn her phone. Well, the phone would not react, and so she'd do this.
And that would be a perfect example of who I would talk to.
Exactly.
Would you please stop doing that?
So good. Yeah, no, because and honestly, like that kind of like needing to break into it, that's another example of something that's kind of intuitive, because if you go to talk to anyone about what they will do to like prepare or warm up or get like in the mind, everyone has their own individual mind, and so everyone has to have their own individual ways to get into that mindset. Like for me, a lot of what works to get into mindset is actually kind of like a multi-day operation. Gotta
have a pedicure, a manicure.
Yeah.
He's got to get his face done.
I have to get a Brazilian, and then but
not a Puerto Rican, just
not a Puerto Rican, exactly. But it involves.
That's a different thing.
It's kind of almost gotten to the point where the way I start is I consume media. Like I watch shows, I read books, I'll read a play, I'll go to see a movie, and I wanted to just absorb as many parts and individual pieces as I can, so that once now that I can go into that thing, once I've done like the artsy like warm ups. I have once my body is warm and my heart is pumping.
He's referring to our morning routine when we're getting ready to go.
Yeah,
I can't replicate that. That was good.
Yeah, no, that's all you, my guy.
It's all about. Now that I go on there, and if there are weeks that I feel like I've been worse at work, so I feel like, God, I'm so busy, I don't have time to like gain new information, is, at least for me, a lot of what improv is it comes it down to, I have a mind palace, and during...
Mind's a warehouse.
Exactly. And I go into it, and I've just trained myself to faster and faster over the years, go in there and pick out bits and pieces and put them together and spew them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I've worked on it, and then, but of course that's not very helpful to other people. But it's a way to think about it to get into it. Like, Mauro, what do you do to like prepare?
Honestly, for me, it really is just being really silly and kind of getting myself out of like an actor's mind of like, oh, I'm going to go perform a show. Oh, I'm going to go, sure, we want to stay in character while we're essentially doing our shows. But for me, really, it's just resetting myself and having a blank slate, because improv for me, when I was in middle school, I didn't really know what improv was or did like, a lot of improv things, but I loved just messing around with my friends. We would just say this random idea and then just go on this big, string of things and just kind of just build exactly what improv is. We built upon it, we kind of just make up these weird scenarios, and like me and my friends still do that to this day. So really it's like it resets me to that, because I'm very comfortable with just, being blank and then accepting something and then just building something random. It doesn't even have to make sense. For me, it's just kind of going with the ideas that are presented, trying to like up the ante, make it like, interesting, or like, bring in some conflict, and then just kind of let it go and let it flow naturally. Sure. And then, also with that too, there are still technical things that we need to do. So like Jason mentioned previously, the plosives, and, doing like, our vocal warm-ups, doing like, our physical warm-ups to kind of get us limber. That really helps me just as a performer in general, just to make sure that people actually understand me. And, I'm very loose, because that's the thing. Like, you can have all this great material and have all these great acting skills, but if people can't understand you, they're never going to land, or they're never going to understand what's going on. And a lot of times with, setting up jokes or doing callbacks, you really need to know what's going on or hear what happened previously, because that's what really makes those land and stick.
You were talking about how if people can't understand you. I used to, in a former life, I used to teach broadcast journalism.
Ooh.
Little known fact about me. When I was in the Army, I was a broadcast journalist. Ooh. This is where the voice comes from. But one of the things that we had to do was teach people, and it's maddening. It's really maddening, because you don't speak the way that you think you speak, especially when it comes to when you're in front of a camera or behind a microphone, because there are a lot of consonants and syllables that will drop off on certain mediums like radio. We have to make sure, I'm going to do it now, we're articulating properly. And,
sure.
And we're doing the plosives that we are speaking of, so that the T at the end, that's one that we typically will drop off. Or the R at the end of a dollar.
Oh, yeah.
Let me borrow a dollar.
Yeah, give me a dollar.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things.
Dollar bills, y'all.
For most people, it's acceptable in speech, but as somebody that's trained, it drives you bonkers. Mm-hmm. Because you're like, oh my God, did I just fuddle that line? Did they understand what I was saying? Mm-hmm. It also has to deal with projection, because somebody that does not have a voice, that doesn't know how to use their diaphragm properly to force out that voice, it comes across like this, and oh my God, why aren't they laughing?
What was that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the most maddening. I used to do interviews like that, and people would just, the people that don't use their mouth when they talk. Typically, these are people from like Illinois, upstate New York, Michigan. They are very, and I think it's the cold. I think that's what the cold keeps their mouth frozen.
Yeah,
so.
they've adapted so they can conserve body
They want
heat.
the cold air just to
Yeah,
rush into their
just
lungs.
like their mouths don't move, so it's like, it was a good time.
Don't let the cold air in.
Right, but it's
We're
like,
going
dude,
to die.
you're giving a performance.
Oh yeah.
And I like what you said. Yes, every single interaction that we have is a performance. It's not a grandiose performance, but it is a performance for someone. And I use that adjective just because for us it's like, oh well, it's 4:30. I guess we got to go and go to the stocks. And for us, it's not that grand of a thing, but for everybody that's in the audience, oh my God! And then you let Adam Bell go on, and he's like large, and gives you the history lesson, and then everybody walks away like, yeah, except for him. He's like slinking away.
Yeah, I get defeated every time.
We got to fix that.
I know.
One day you will win.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, he would hate it, but we gotta pitch to
Yeah.
him that we put him in the stocks. Adam Bell.
But even more so, what you're kind of talking about, acting at a Renaissance fair is completely different from regular acting because it's not you're on a stage, there's not the audience there. We have to bring the festival alive, and we have to always be in character because it's like you said, you have no idea who's watching.
Yes.
At any time, there might be people just observing you and saying, oh, look, they look interesting, and then we start, a bit, and then, or we might just be I might roll up to you, and I'm not going to say, oh, hey, what's up, Rob? I'm going to always, we're going to be in character and, address each other because, there might be people, they might find what we do and what we interact something very interesting, and some of the times we don't ever plan that. It's just something that we're just talking, and then we joke around in character, and that could be a performance for our patrons.
Oh, yeah.
100%, it is.
The bits can pop off at any time.
Yeah.
And that's like Rob and I talked about in a different episode. Our stage is everywhere within the festival, so it's not like, oh, well, I'm just walking over here to grab something to drink. No, they're still watching you, so you have to walk in character to go get your drink,
move.
and because they're like, oh wait, maybe he's going to do something,
Yeah. And
because maybe they've seen like you and Matthias do something, so now they're watching you walk like, oh, is he going to do something? And then you don't, and they're like, well, he didn't do anything. Oh, maybe next time. Oh, there he is again. He's going to do something. And that's kind of what we want to leave, that feeling with people. Always leave wanting more.
The anticipation.
Yeah.
It's like, and because like while it's also like very much like an always on type of thing, as soon as you're outside of that backstage, that can actually also, in my experience, be a weird positive. Because one thing that I noticed, and I heard a lot about from people who were at the fair before us, before the COVID times, the plague, was that one of the biggest hurdle to get over for newer people and even older people was to make it so that someone would pay attention to you.
Yes.
Now there's always someone always looking, and which brings its own problems. But since there's always someone looking, half the battle of drawing attention's already gone. You already have it. You have it there, and now you just do whatever, and someone will pay attention to it.
It's really funny because, especially with my character, by virtue of me just being dressed the way that I am, I get far more attention than he does.
Yes.
Because I'm an oddity. I am that, oh my God, look at that guy. And I've had people come up to me and go, you're like the best person dressed here. And reality speaks, I'm the oddity. I don't look like everybody else, so yeah, I stand out, which is great. I'm not an Adonis. I know that I'm not hot. I mean, my wife thinks so, but that's because we're married. And,
She has to.
But the way
well, roofies are a hell of a drug.
She's a keep. Oh my God! I was about to go wholesome with it, but
yeah,
No. Like I told you, we lean into it. But
leave it tomorrow. But the way he dresses tends to give us more ins
Yes.
with people, because instead of us having to go out and find every interaction, we have a lot of interactions that come up to us. And they go, oh, look at that. Well, why are you with this guy? Oh, well, funny you should ask.
we're actually working on little hit and runs that we're developing. The timing of it is how we try to figure it out. The good news is because the chemistry between Keith and I is really good, we can bounce off of each other left and right, and it's perfectly fine. Very rarely are we like, oh, that fell. You know? But I think that a lot of the cast that we have at CRF is the same way. We all kind of like, okay, cool. As long as I have an understanding of what your energy is, we're good. Like, if I can understand where you fit into it, then we're good. You know, one of the takeaways that I had my final week, the final week of last year, was I could have done more. I should have done more. And so now I'm changing the word. The action word is I will do more, because last year was my recon. I was just trying to figure things out, and I speak in military terms because that's what I know. It was my recon. I was trying to figure out, like, how do I fit in? Do I fit in? Is this a good place for me? Which I really quickly found out, yeah, this is a great place for me. I was very welcomed. I was invited to take part in bits and things, and I was able to recruit people on the fly to help me do things. And like we were talking earlier, where it's like, you know, just as we walk through trying to figure things out, I mean, being a force that you can stop an entire laneway with a shout, that was awesome. Did you guys see the performance with the little one? The very first one?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
That was, I felt taller than a 10-story building, man. I screamed out, and everybody was like, and I could hear people, and they're like, oh, something about to go down, something about to happen. Follow that guy. And then the scene was set. And it was great because, you know, my partner's over there, hey, come on. And so we've got like I
was wrangling people up.
Yeah.
I think I wrangled Mauro.
Yeah, we had the support of the crew, you know, the cast members, and then the audience. But I felt like I didn't do anything grand. Like, it was just me shouting at Arlen McNaughton. And that was what started it all. But I felt, because I gave into the moment. I gave into the moment. I wasn't going to hold back, because that was a very, I will admit, that performance made me cry. It was hard for me. I'm standing next to Keith, and I'm doing this, and while my daughter's playing, because it was so emotionally powerful for me. And then I look around and I see everybody standing around feeling the same thing that I'm feeling. But they don't know the backstory of it. They didn't know the whole thing until after I got up there and made the announcement of what was going on. We just kind of launched into it. And it was so beautiful. But it wasn't funny. It wasn't meant to be anything. It was, honestly, I put that together with one person in mind. One audience member in mind, and he was on the cast. And that was for Arlen McNaughton. That was my thank you to him, because I couldn't do anything more. I mean, aside from the years that I tipped the dude. But that was a way to show him the impact that he had on us. So, you know, I guess what I'm saying is like, you know, you have to give in to everything. You have to lean hard into it, because if you don't, you're not being truthful to the moment. You're not being truthful to who you are as a character or as an actor. And I absolutely love you guys for showing me that last year, except for him.
Yeah, no.
He showed me how to be silly.
God, I love performing stories like that. It truly is like chasing a high.
It
It's
is.
so
That's
good.
why we do it.
It is.
I
100%.
love it so much. And this is, and also like Rob had mentioned to us before this started, for anyone who is listening who's starting out, for anyone who listens to this in the future as like a place to gain resources or a place to gain insight in something like this, remember at the end of the day, even if even if you're just having a small interaction with someone on the street, even if you have a big interaction that you can visibly see, touch people, even if you're just some guy on a little stage anywhere in the world, you are participating and experiencing the oldest form of human art and communication, which is performance, storytelling, connection.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And you know, we've talked about our experiences and, improv things that we've done, and, we've shared stories. But, let's talk about a little bit more about like how we can really help new people kind of learn improv, because you don't always have to be a trained actor or, professional improv. Really, as long as, you don't even have to do a lot of improv performances. As long as you know the tenets, the principles of improv, then that's what you can use to start and then jump in, because that's what we have to do with a lot of our new cast members. We don't have a trust built with them. We don't have all these other, pre-planned things, or, we haven't worked with them. So basically what we do is we just follow the principles of improv and then go from there and then build that trust and build our skits that we build up.
So what are you talking about? Like you had mentioned principles, so I assume that you're talking about like the tenets or the rules of improv?
Yeah, and really, the main thing, there's not necessarily like a huge list that you always have to follow and you have to, always stick to. But really, I think the biggest thing for improv that everyone needs to start out with is acceptance. When someone throws out an idea or, gives you some material to work with, a line or, an action to do, you really just have to jump in and go ahead and, it's the tenet of yes and. Whenever anyone brings up an idea or starts something, you just always want to agree with it and then go with it. Because no one wants to, start a scene and then you throw out an idea and then someone says no. Or they go off and do something else and like start off a different idea, because that kind of looks a little bit unprofessional, or it looks like it kind of breaks that connection that you have between you two. So really, anytime someone throws out an idea, so if I say, oh, hey, fetch me that water. Really the first idea that you should do is, yes, I will grab that water.
You mean this poisoned water, sir?
Oh. And then and that's another part is, is building upon the scene and, up in the ante, making it interesting, because you don't want to just yes and back and forth of like, hand me the water. And then you say yes. And then you say, oh, hand me, this, and go back and forth in between that. Essentially with the improv.
Will you tell that to him again, please?
This is what this podcast is for.
I don't know what
that's what happens. It's get me a Scotch egg. Okay, now get me more water.
End of the scene. Give me a Scotch egg.
Buy me food, Rob.
Yeah, exactly.
Improv done.
Done. Oh, I have to poop.
Yeah. Perfect out if you ever have any. But, really just following that main one is like the starting point for learning improv. And sure, there's other skills that you can build upon. We say when we're teaching improv to our new cast members, we say a few other things. So, be specific. You want to have those ideas of, you don't want to just say, oh, or just saying, bring me the water. You could say, oh, bring me the poison water that we're going to, give to the rat catcher. Adding those kind of details.
Wow,
and that
what'd she do to make you
What'd she do
mad?
to you?
Listen.
She's such a sweet person.
Wow.
Everyone's in my pocket except for the rat catcher.
Oh.
That's what I think.
Wow.
Damn.
And, whenever you're not with me, you're against me.
Dirty,
Is
stinky
this a
rat.
bit of foreshadowing for next year?
Yes.
Oh, you better watch out, rat catcher, for I'm coming for you.
For a small fee, I might be able to protect you.
No, I kind of want to see how this plays out.
Hey, I'm trying to make us money for the Scotch eggs.
If anyone wants to watch, I'll be taking tickets for one shilling a piece.
Right?
Which, even that right there, just a quick little improv that we're playing off of what Mauro started.
I don't actually hate the rat catcher,
Yeah.
but as that scene that we just made, that's what made it interesting. Having that conflict, and that's a big thing too. Is that when I say upping the ante, it's essentially making the stakes higher. So it starts off with the poisoned water, but then it's poisoning the rat catcher to to take out a guard or to take out a person, so we can go against
Except for the king. Nobody poisons the king.
ever. We
Oh,
love
God,
the
that
king.
is-
And then you know what happens?
So horrible.
Someone poisons the king. Oh, no.
And then when that happens, then the world's about to end.
Oh, God.
No, we just hold an election, or they get a sword thrown out of some tart in a lake.
Yeah.
And then we have to poop.
Only
And that's
after
called a callback.
Yeah, exactly.
only after my avocado.
Exactly.
In the moonlight.
In the moonlight.
Oh god, that's also another good one. Kind of nestled into acceptance is the idea of agreement. Now, people aren't typically used to seeing performers, who people on stage and TV and movie or whatever, agree with each other about something. There's a reason why there's almost always a guaranteed laugh in a kind of absurd moment where, like, for example, in one of these books, In Truth and Comedy, it brings up a scene that was performed at their studio that was two people were, one person was a robber, one person was a cop, and they were running in place and running. And then the cop's like, hold on, wait a minute, can we give a stop? And the other guy goes, yeah, I'm getting tired too. And then they stop. And then they're like, yeah, it was a while. All right, 1, 2, 3. And the agreement of being like, okay, even in this conflict, we're going to agree that, yes, we agree upon this. Yes, we agree upon this. Agreement, and that also leads into yes and of, you can agree in ways that don't just yes and. Now, of course, like I said earlier, it is and it is not. We want to learn the rules so we can break the rules.
Yes.
The only one unbreakable rule, I will say to caveat that, is acceptance. Because if you walked up to someone and say if Mauro and I saw on the street each other on the street, and I went, "Good day, Lord Sheriff," and then he didn't accept that and just went, "Yeah, what's up, Jason?" Then everyone watching would be like, "Okay,
Are
makes it a
you
little awkward.
are you
Yeah.
okay?
sure."
Yeah, we actually covered something about that.
About the names, yeah.
In another episode, and it was denying the character and denying the scene. So same principle of yeah, I'm going to start something with Mauro, and he just goes left turn and he walks away, and I'm like, leaves me kind of standing there and people looking, going, well, that probably didn't go as planned.
Although that's why I'm in the background, because I can go, ooh.
And of course, obviously, for anyone listening, there's always nuances and complications to this. Like, for example, you can accept in a way that if you really can't be there to do that scene, you can accept and say, I actually need to leave, and have a minor interaction. And that comes along with this idea of trust as well. Because not to put too scary of a point on it, doing improv is like throwing yourself off a bridge, and that you are taking a leap of faith.
Yes.
Now, what is at the bottom of this chasm? It could be an impossibly large bundle of pillows that will catch you and caress you as you fall.
Or poisoned water.
Or poisoned water.
Or spikes.
Or spikes. Or other people. The hurts feelings that we all carry with us. And
Ooh, this is going deep.
Wow.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like my last
Bearing some
therapy
scars
session.
there, bud.
don't worry about it. Now, not only does the person who's jumping kind of determine what is at the bottom of the chasm, and people around you also can determine it. Because once someone has made the leap, it can be fully on another person to just be like, nope, and then they are comically dead. And in that moment, or they could say yes, and they will swaddle, and they'll do some contact improv and ballet, and they'll nutcracker, and then eventually you can throw that person back up to the bridge so they can do it again.
And, then further that, once you have those basics of the acceptance, of the agreement, that's basically generally the start of the scene. And sure, the acceptance and agreement continue on with it. But once you have that, you generally want to make sure that you stay within the beginning, middle, and end. Because with a lot of improv, a lot of problems that people have is one, that they don't know how to end the scene or how to to move on, or even more so, it's like sometimes people have problems sticking in the beginning because people want to add a lot of exposition, or they want to build up, which that's important and things that you want to consider. But really, for us at the Renaissance Fair, we don't have a lot of time to interact with these people or to keep their interest. Nowadays people essentially you'd be
10
lucky
seconds.
to even to get them for a minute. So really, we have to be very quick with introducing ourselves, introducing the plot, and then when we up the ante, it's like, oh, okay, the story that kind of drives that. And then once we have that story built, we have to find some way to end it, or sometimes we can even leave people on cliffhangers where it's like, oh yes, we understand that there's this problem happening. Now we're going to introduce how we're going to go out into the festival and fix that. And that's a big problem that a lot of new improv actors have, is they get stuck in either the beginning or the middle, and then they can't find an end out of it.
Now, I will say that, one of the things that really helped, and Keith and I were talking about this earlier, one of the things that helped me was the talks of the town, because those are pre-canned, like, this is a great starting point, and then go and just see what happens. Because you could do that on a flyby where, the Lord Sheriff and Captain Yen Sheng are coming from different sides, and Lord Sheriff, have you heard? No. What? And then it just goes on, and we talk about the talk of the town. There's no real end to the scene. To the scene. It is just two people having a conversation. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. I'll be on my way. Well, you have a wonderful day, and then they part ways. It is an end of a scene, but it is not a definitive hard ending.
You don't always have to resolve what's happening in the scene or the conflict.
Right, and that's what where we were talking about, like, having that out as well. So some of the things that we had talked about. Now we're almost out of time here. I wanna hit one thing, because this is very important, and it's also one of the cruxes as to why we created the podcast. What do you do to practice these things?
So, when it comes to practicing improv, unfortunately, one of the things that comes down to it is that if you really, really want to get into it, it's not something you can practice entirely on your own. But it is something that there are, luckily, lots of, if you're in the Renaissance Fair space, or if you're in any kind of performance space, there's almost always classes you can take and things you can do on your own to get ready for classes, and books you can read. For example, the two books I mentioned already, Truth in Comedy and Improvisation for the Theater, and the third one at the end there was Advice to the Players by Robert Lewis. And there's tons. I think all three of these have free PDFs online, so you don't got to pay anything for them. Reading and practicing, just doing it is the best way to really keep it going. It's not like riding a bike, unfortunately. It is something that even people who've done it for years and years, if I go for a long time without doing anything at all, I will start to regress a little bit. But learning through games, increasing intuition, and keeping yourself snappy and fast and spontaneous. Unfortunately, I can't give you a more specific example because, well, you can. Everyone can have their own thing. Like, for example, I, on my own, when I'm at home, I'll be watching a show, and then I'll think of things I can say during that show. Think of things way I would write a scene, ways I would make it go a different way. Like, if I'm watching a movie, I'd be like, how would it play out if this part was changed? And then I would try to, like, screenplay it out in my head going forward, and be like, now we have to make all these decisions and all these little things. And it's very heady.
Sure.
But you can definitely, and you can see from the way that Mauro had described how he prepared for improv and how I prepared.
There's huge differences.
Yeah. Mine involves a lot of pre-planning and setting up. And that setting up, I've just kind of worked into my, like, normal life, and I just enjoy doing now.
So one of the things that, and we, the three of us, not him, share this, and it's honestly, it's one of the things that I still posit that it is a form of acting. It is a form of improv. If you're a role player, you play role-playing games, you do improv every single game session.
Nerds.
Because you've already accepted the setting. I have to accept that Mauro is this ungodly beautiful bard. I have to accept that. That's what his character sheet says.
Just because it's true, though.
We're talking about examples here, dear.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. What was that?
You got to toss the hair. Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Vogue.
But it is in my personal opinion, one of the purest forms of improv, because we're not trying to always hunt the funny. Actually, in most role-playing games, you have the quite opposite effect where everybody's trying to be intimidating.
Yeah.
because we got to be murder hobos. Me, I'm trying to be as funny as I possibly can because I'm trying to steal from you blindly. Haven't asked damn a rogue.
And I know it sounds kind of funny, but it's really no different than walking the streets of the fair.
Correct.
Is I talk to random people at the grocery store.
Oh,
And I'll just walk up to someone and go, "Hey, have you heard anything about this salad
that's
dressing?"
ballsy, dude.
Yeah, and it's no different than walking up to someone at the fair going, "Oh, have you heard the talk of the town? Have you heard anything about this salad dressing?" "Oh yeah, it's really good." "Oh, is it? Oh, what does it taste?" And I just start a conversation. "All right, cool. Well, thank you. Have a good day." And it just kind of keeps me on my toes. And sometimes they go, "No." "All right, well, that was definitive. Thank you." I have to poop. And I go, "Do you know where the avocados are?"
Rule of threes. Rule
Yeah.
of threes.
All right, we can't joke anymore, you guys.
We're done. It's done. No more.
That was a 3-line scene. Okay, we had a 3-line scene right there. But
I like that. I like I like that conceptually.
but it's no, and for me it's no different than walking up to a random person at the fair.
I mean, and,
You know.
and to be completely honest, if you're what we refer to as like a forward-facing job, so
Yeah.
you're customer-facing, that's your opportunity. If you're in sales, dude, you do this every single time.
Yeah, I mean I do that all day. I'm in sales.
Yeah.
Customer service. I talk to people all day.
Right.
But that is I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I've just been doing it so long.
Yeah,
but yeah, talking, someone holding a thing of orange juice. Walk up to them and go, "Oh, is that a good brand of orange juice?" They're going to either go yes or they're going to go no. No. "Oh, well, why?"
Then why are you buying
Right.
it?
Yeah.
You learn
"Oh,
things about other people.
Yeah, and so it's just
A bit
it's-
invasive.
It's like I said, it's a little bit weird, but for me, it's no different than walking up to someone and going, "Oh, how's that steak on a steak?"
Right.
Keith, this is very advanced. I don't think you fully grasp how advanced this is. This is you're so far the sensei, the Buddha on the hill when it comes to speaking to people and being alive. There's a reason why people oftentimes think of public speaking and going out there as more scary than death. Which I also anytime I think as someone talks up like, "Oh, I'm not great at talking to people. I'm very awkward." I'm like, well, funnily enough, the best way to cure that is
To do it.
It may sound like you're throwing yourself into the fire to jump into an improv.
'Cause you are.
You are a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's also the only way to truly harden up get those muscles going.
Yeah.
And that's very cool.
It's so weird though. Like I look at it and I'm like, it makes sense. Conceptually, it makes sense.
And that's just the way I look at it. I mean, we walk around the fair for 10 hours a day talking to random strangers. Why not just do that in our normal everyday life? And it just keeps that, juice flowing.
Truthfully, though, I mean, maybe not in the grocery store, but most people, you can honestly say that they do this in a store of some type.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Whether-
you can go anywhere.
Yeah, whether it's a gaming store or like for me, I do this at Best Buy, and I freak people out at Best Buy because like Mauro might be looking at a camera. Well, we all know the Best Buy employees don't know dick about cameras. I mean, this is reality. They don't know, as you might have that one gem that shows up and that dude will dance circles around me. But for the most part, I'll sit there and I'll linger because you may be wanting to look at, what does the new GoPro Hero 12 have that the other ones didn't have? Oh, cool. Well, let me tell you about that because that is another that helps me get over my I don't know if I want to go talk to those people. Like that is one of those things. We were talking about prep earlier. Mm-hmm. We had talked about getting yourself ready for the scene, the character.
Yeah.
Mine is very simple. Mine is a very simple thing. I am Captain Yen Sheng of the Woku. That right there brings me back. But it also goes back to the character sheet development and what's your sentence. I repeat my sentence to myself. And quite honestly, when I'm walking from the tents up to cast call, I'm saying it. And people look at me like I'm crazy. And I know I'm crazy, so I don't care. And it's fun. And then he laughs at me.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of acting in general. Like, especially, obviously with real acting, but improv too. Really having that understanding of your character.
Yes.
And, really having the background really will help push you through improv scenes, because you don't have to think, like how, you have a basis already of how your character will react and how your character would, talk with this person. And just having that base knowledge can really set you up for success in improv. Is just really, because even sometimes in improv, you might jump from different characters, but if you can kind of have a basis of like what this character, give like a little small background to what each of them, have, then that can kind of push the story forward and how you would react and say to other characters.
Yeah, which is, and we talked about this before about, what, like a day in the life of, what we do. And so one of the reasons why I get to the fair so early is that it puts me in that headspace. So I'm at Cask Hall. There's maybe one other person around at 7:00, but I'm smelling the smells of the fair. I'm hearing the sounds of the fair, and it just kind of goes, okay, I'm back.
Taking in the ambiance.
Yeah, and so it just brings me back into, you're no longer outside that gate. Now you're inside the gate. This is who you are, for the next 10 hours of your life, And so for me, it's the sights, the sounds, the smells that, bring me into that headspace of, okay, this is who you have to be for the next, day.
Oh yeah. That's very good. That actually brings to an entirely different topic about dialects. But there's something in dialects that people talk about a lot called activation phrase, which is basically like a set of words that is typical, that is best way to like get you back into saying a dialect or an accent a certain way. And this is very similar to that. I think it's really great because I think it's good because I actually hadn't really thought about this in a situation like, do I have something that really gets me like in a moment back into my character? What do I think about? And the first thing that funny enough, the first thing that came to my brain was not even me saying something. It just in my I just imagine Keith going, "Bean!" And then immediately I'm like, "Hello."
Well, it's true because it doesn't matter how far he's away. If I see him, Bean!
Yeah.
I have to do it. I don't know why.
It's a good snap phrase, though. and that's, getting into the moment, because that's what this is. The podcast is all about is helping you develop the character, not just from creation, but where do you go? Because most festivals want you to stay at least 3 years in the character. They don't want you to hop because it's not really showing your versatility as an actor. It's not showing or showcasing your abilities. So, now at the end of the season, I was told you're coming. You're going to come back as this character, and I'm like, of course, because I like the character. I enjoy the character. Because I got a lot of latitude, I can do all kinds of different things with this character. I could be a hobo. I could be running around with skid mark, and that's fine. I'm good with it. Okay, cool. Down on the luck, the crew took over. They ousted me as the captain. Great. Got to find a new job, Or I could be elevated to, now I'm a guard. I'm one of the sheriff's deputies. Oh, cool. I'm that now. Let's go arrest some pirates. But it all goes back to just trying to find ways to hone our craft and be better tomorrow than we were today. Mm-hmm. Because each interaction, we get better and better and better. Hopefully that's the aim, right?
Yeah. It stands to reason, and with the years that I've been doing it is the first time I tried improv, and I was scared to death. I was afraid, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to do the wrong. And I didn't really do a lot of theater stuff, so that part is not really my background. I did a couple plays here and there. I did one like dinner theater thing, and it was just I was more nervous doing that than I was doing improv.
He means he was serving the food.
No, I was actually up on stage. It was nerve wracking.
It's okay, I believe you.
It was terrible. Yes, at least I thought I was on stage. Well, the world is my stage.
There you go. There it is. That's what I was trying to get there. There we go.
Jacques.
Yes. But the more I did the improv, and the more I dove into it and joined, different groups and learned little, nuances to the art, because it really is an art, you become more comfortable, and then just in my regular job, like I said, I'm in customer service and sales. I talk to people all day, every day. And so doing improv was just another natural extension of who I am, another one of my personalities.
And another one bites the dust.
Yeah. That's not the one that hums, though.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah, no.
He's got 9 personalities, and one of them hums, so he can't hear the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on
I told him if he starts singing his own theme music, I'm going to have to find a new partner. So,
Oh my God! Now it's like now I'm imagining Sir Robert, going around like the fair like Kronk, like
Yeah.
I told him he needs to do it because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And especially if the rest of us are just looking at him like, what is this moron doing?
Big, dumb, and tone deaf.
Yes.
And you get the Lord Sheriff going, I see you. And he's like, and then the sheriff turns around and he goes,
That brings us back to the acceptance.
Exactly.
yes. Well, God, that's been an hour and a half, man.
Has it been?
Yes.
All right. Well, there's a lot of good information here.
Yes,
so
and dude, thank you guys.
definitely
Yeah,
thank you
for having us.
Anything we can look forward to this upcoming year that you can divulge, a little foreshadowing?
Well, we at the improv team are working to create an even better show than we had last year. We are working to incorporate towards something known as a herald, which is a form of a fully improvised play.
Ooh, I like it.
Now, we might not be able to make it to it this year, but we are going to try to work for it eventually. That's our long-term goal. And, of course, if you two or if anyone else wants to come and be a part of the improv practices and teams, they are open. If you can come and jump in, we'll jam, we'll learn, we'll shoot the shit, and we'll improvise.
It all starts, though, with reaching out to these 2 guys on Facebook. Obviously, you're going to have to be a cast member for CRF. That is kind of a prerequisite there.
Yes.
So if you're on cast or hope to be on cast, make sure that you give these guys just drop a line. Even at the rehearsals, just let them know, hey, I'm interested. They've got a lot between the 2 of them. Like I said, 25 plus years of combined experience. Great people to learn from. Also, really awesome human beings to be around. Mauro likes to eat.
That's true.
He does.
And Mauro likes to drink.
Also true.
And he's also a very pleasant human being to be around. Very positive, annoyingly so sometimes.
You're so amazing, Rob.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
I appreciate you.
And then there's
Jason.
There's Jason.
I just realized something when you're talking about Mauro likes to eat. I'm going to tell on myself on camera.
Go ahead.
I still have the Tupperware you gave to me at Santa Fe.
Oh, no, you're good.
At my house. And then I was at Aaron. I meant to bring it down and I forgot.
You're good.
And I told last week I was playing D&D with Aaron Parsnip at the CRF, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna go see Rob? Here's my Tupperware." And I forgot both of them.
So this is the beauty of it. I never give things to people that I will miss.
Okay, well, I ran it through my dishwasher and I washed it.
I would hope so. That was like September, dude.
So
He's got a mold and it's growing a personality.
Was it Feed Me Seymour?
It was the basis I used to create my own little baby Rob in my fridge.
The mother for the future.
It doesn't cook as well as this one.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But I will tell you that we've had the pleasure, both Keith and I have had the pleasure of traveling with these 2 gentlemen while performing, and it's always been fun. Mauro plays the Lord Sheriff at Larkspur, and then Bard down at Santa Fe.
Yep.
Part of the Adventurers Guild, and then Jason is Bean up at Colorado Renaissance Festival, and he plays Mr. Shmee.
Captain.
Well,
down
he
at
does
Santa
he does
Fe.
double duty at Santa Fe.
Oh, that's
He is
true. 'Cause
Shmi and Bean.
You do the Bean and Matthias show as well. And now a little bit of plug for you because you guys are going to be doing your show at CRF again in
Maybe.
To be determined.
To be determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if not, then you can walk around with us.
Oh yeah.
Not like that's a good thing. I'm gonna.
Yes. It's kind of a punishment,
Oh,
really.
I'm gonna bring a leash that you guys can pull me on, like a child leash, like a backpack, and I'll be like,
Why not? I've already smacked this one. I
Yeah.
put you on bondage. Why not? I see
Let's
where
do
this
it.
is all
We're used to
going.
it.
I'll come up with an equally
Ludicrous,
fantastic,
yes.
and ludicrous safe phrase. So
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you once again, gentlemen, for
Absolutely.
joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Make
you for
sure that
having
you guys
us.
reach out to them. If you have any questions for them that you would like us to pass on, you can give us an email at renaissancerascals@gmail.com.
You can also hit us up on Facebook on the Messenger,
That's right.
which
So,
I check a lot
well,
because I'm bored at work. That's how I roll.
you're doing that on the clock?
Why not?
My hat's off to you,
Dude,
sir.
what's my boss going to do? Fire me? I don't think so.
I mean, what's the word?
What if
that's
he
gonna-
listens to the podcast?
He doesn't want to do my job, so he's not firing me.
That's fair.
if your boss ever comes up to you and it starts having a conversation, you can just go, "I gotta poop."
I
you could-
actually do that.
Or you could look at him and go, yes, and?
Excuse me, I've forgotten my avocados in the moonlight.
So, thanks, guys, for tuning in. We got some more hilarity coming up. We've got
Of course we
actually
do.
some really cool things. We're going to be talking with musicians and talking about the music of the festival and how you can kind of prep yourself for it. On our Facebook page, I've posted my personal Renaissance list of songs. You can check that out. But that does it for us today.
Yeah.
Once-
One final thing.
Oh,
one
final
final thing. If you are interested in being a Baroness this year at the Colorado Renaissance Festival, I am accepting applications for a fair wife. Colorado Renaissance Festival 2024. You can send that resume directly to renaissancerascals@gmail.com.
Or you can put a post up on Facebook. We do require an 8x10 for
Yes.
research
Put the
purposes.
phone down.
Sorry, Jason, you can't apply.
I told you, I'm going to try to get as many applicants as possible.
Absolutely. All right, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Thank you, friends.
I'm
Bye,
Keith.
everyone.
I'm Rob.
We're the Renaissance Rascals.
See ya.
Bye.